Hi, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today, and in particular for this week of Yoga for Mental Health Awareness Week. Um, as always, I like to start off by saying I am not a medical professional. I'm not a trained therapist. All I know is yoga, and I know that for me, it's one of many tools in my um, toolbox, I guess, that I use to maintain my mental health. Right? So physical activity, meditation, etc. Go see a therapist as well if you need to see a therapist, or go outside. I'd hoped to record this class outside, but it's smoky again here in Vancouver. So here we are. For today's class, what I thought I would do is, I know a lot of people ask me, like, how do I get into meditation? Or how do you sit for so long when you're doing meditation? And the trick, well, one of the tricks is to have somewhere comfortable to sit. So I have this sort of bean bag sort of cushion to sit on. It's filled with buckwheat. And then this, that I put it on top, so that when I cross my legs, my feet are padded. They're not on a hard floor, and that gives a little bit more support for them. So that's part of it. The other part, though, about being able to sit for, longer than 5 minutes anyway, for a meditation. And sidebar, I get it. These days, it is hard to find longer than 5 minutes to sit for meditation, and that is totally fine. But if you're interested, this is what I would do beforehand. So I do about a half an hour, a little bit less, of movement before I would sit. And when I sit for meditation, if I'm doing longer than 5 minutes, I usually try to hit for about 30 minutes. And by doing this little bit of movement beforehand, it makes it a lot easier to sit without discomfort. And that was the whole goal of yoga when it was, originally invented, I guess you could say, is that it was a physical practice and a breath practice in order to calm the body enough so that, you could be centered and the mind wouldn't be reeling, right? So it's a gentle movement of the body. A lot of the stuff that I do in this, I have done in other yoga classes that you've seen. So a lot of it is going to be very familiar. Um, and some of it stems from a Kundalini practice, but only slightly. So anyway, things that could be useful for this class. A pillow or two, if you have them, maybe some blocks, if you want a little bit of the possibility of bringing the floor up to you, and then something to sit on, whether it's a folded up blanket or a pillow or a chip foam block. I have my meditation cushion here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that to start with. So then I want you to find a comfortable seat. You could be cross-legged, like I'm going to end up being. You could be on your shins. You could have your legs outstretched. And the thing about having something to sit up on is you have the lift of the hips, so that you're not really kind of digging into those hip flexors, right? They're not in as tight of a position. It also means that your pelvis can tilt forward a little bit more, so that your spine can stay long without having to stress too much to be there. And then depending on the shape of the cushion, it can support your legs as well underneath. I know a lot of people really prefer meditating on their shins, so whatever works for you. But again, this is just the physical part beforehand. We might do like a little 5-minute meditation at the end. So let's see. Okay, so once you've found your comfortable seat, for a few breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. Continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. And I invite you to close your eyes just to help withdraw the senses a little bit more from the external world. And then start to draw your focus to your breath. Get curious about it. Notice how it's flowing. Maybe it feels really free and clear today. In which case, acknowledge that. Or maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, and you could gently try to lengthen through those parts just to smooth the breath out a little bit more. Naturally, when we start to focus on the breath, it will slow down. But I don't want you to force that. And thoughts may come and go. In fact, they will. But acknowledge the thoughts without judging yourself for the thought or for having the thought. And then let them go. And then bring your focus back to your breath. And in fact, every time that you are able to do that, you are meditating. As the mind likes to be busy, it likes to jump around from thought to thought and to stay engaged. And it's a bit of work to bring the mind into focus. But once it's there, then it can be truly relaxing for both your body and your mind. And keeping your eyes closed, with your next inhale, bring both arms through the center and up overhead. And exhale, let them drift back through the center. So very gentle movements. Inhale to lift the arms overhead. And exhale to float them back down. And then moving with the breath, maybe you choose to freestyle. You could do one arm at a time or your arms out to the side. But every breath, the inhale will lift the arm away from your body, and the exhale will allow it to return. And for the last few breaths, return to both arms up and down through the center. At the end of your next exhale, allow the hands to just rest, maybe on your knees or your thighs. And with your next inhale, start to lift your heart up to the sky, little squeeze of the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale, round through the spine. You might even pull through the shoulder blades here. Inhale to rock forward and lift through your heart. Exhale to rock back and round. So a few more of these cat and cow undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And for those of you who like the Kundalini background, you can choose to make this breath sharp and fiery, kind of like working bellows. Me, I prefer fluidity. Last few breaths here. And on your inhale, come back to center. And then on your next exhale, start to draw circles with your torso down and forward. Inhale back up. And these circles could be deep, they could be shallow, they could be really articulated through the spine. And you might have your head stay long on the end of your neck, or you might let it flop around. I just came off my prop because it's too high for this. Keep going, couple more of this first direction. And then on your next exhale, gently switch directions. And notice if one side feels different to the other, or maybe they both feel equally tight or equally loose. A few more rounds. And then your next inhale, come back to the top. Pause. Ooh, gather your equilibrium. If you're a little bit dizzy, you can flick your eyelids open if you like. And inhale your arms up to the sky. As you exhale, start to twist to the right. So the left arm comes forward, right arm comes behind you. You might gently rest your left hand on the knee or side, depending on how you're sitting. And then the right hand, you could press into the floor behind you to find more length, more lift here through the spine. With each exhale, a little twist deeper. Possibly. You don't have to go super deep, particularly if this is a very early morning practice for you. Go easy on your body. And then inhale all the way back through center and exhale to the opposite side. And I don't care so much about alignment here. Again, we're just waking up the body, waking up the spine especially, so that it'll be comfortable to sit for any given amount of time if you choose to take some time for mindfulness or meditation. And then inhale back through center, shake it out a little bit. And then bring your left fingertips to the floor. Inhale the right arm up overhead. Exhale, a little side bend over to the left. Make sure that shoulder's not up by your ear. You could press the left fingertips away from you. Reach the right sit bone to the floor so you get a long, long line through the right side of the body. And then inhale back up, and we'll switch sides. Right fingertips to the earth, left arm high. Inhale here, exhale over to the right. You could ease in and out of it, right? Just taking your time. And then inhale back up. A little release or shake out. And then we'll start to make our way to hands and knees. And you could set up with knees underneath hips, toes tucked or untucked, hands nice and wide just to give your shoulders space. And then moving through cat and cow here, inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. And then exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tailbone under, press through the floor. Inhale to dip the belly and wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale to round. So a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And particularly, again, if this is your first bit of movement in the day, maybe you have some other little tightnesses or wiggles that you need to get out. So you could drop big barrel rolls through your chest. You could snake toward the floor. You can wag the tail from side to side. Whatever you feel like you need to do. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly inhale, come back to center. Plant your left hand, and on your inhale, pick the right arm out to the side. As you exhale, sweep it underneath the left. Now you could take your arm back toward your knee or keep it up by your wrist, whatever feels better on your body. Today I'm going to go back toward my knee, and then the side, back of the shoulder might come down the side of the head. You could figure out a better position for your left hand if you wish. A few breaths here. And then bring your left hand back underneath your shoulder. Press into the floor. Inhale back up. Little cat and cow or wiggle. And then plant the right hand. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, sweep it underneath the right armpit. Again, maybe you go back toward the knee. Maybe you stay up by the wrist of that right arm. Wherever you need to take the twist. It could be as active or as passive as you need here. You could always bring a pillow underneath your head for more comfort, more support. And then bring the right hand back underneath your shoulder. Inhale, back up, little wiggle, little shake. And then from hands and knees, just gently step to the top edge of your mat, coming into a really nice, juicy forward fold. So my knees are bent enough that my lower belly is resting comfortably on my upper thighs. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands. You could rest your hands on blocks if you have them, or on your knees or thighs. Remember, it should feel, you're going to feel tension, but it shouldn't feel like you're going for a deep stretch here, right? You're just waking up the body. In fact, maybe then you sway a little bit from side to side. And the idea is that we're really getting into the back of the hips here. So waking those joints up for sitting for a while too. And then release your hands, bend your knees, tuck your chin into your chest, and as slowly as you need to, start to roll up to standing. Maybe you feel like you need to wiggle it out a little bit as you roll up. And eventually coming all the way up, a couple loops of your shoulders, up, back, and down. Little noodle or release. And now we're standing. Fantastic. Couple deep breaths. And then bring your feet hip width apart, or even a little bit wider, parallel-ish, belly bend to spine, and then send your hips down and back for a little mini chair pose, right? We're not going for the full squat, just a little mini chair pose. And then bring your arms up to cactus and start to move through the body here. You could tuck the tailbone under and round through the spine. You could come up into more of an extension. And just moving all the different ways through your spine that you can, so that there's nothing gripping, there's no added tension that will make a meditation session physically uncomfortable. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing, shake it out a little bit. Okay, and then we're just going to start to bounce here. So the feet can stay on the floor, the hands might go forward and back, or you might twist a little bit. I call this rubber arms. Maybe they just sway out to the side, or maybe allow the elbows to bend. You're kind of flicking out the fingers. This is a great place to stay. I like bouncing when I do this. It's a little hop. And you twist the hips. You're just getting the whole body going. Any kind of wiggle or shake. You bring the hands overhead. You do a little hippie dance. Whatever you need. We're going to keep going now. Right. So slightly uncomfortably long. For another 5. And 4. 3. 2. 1. And then pause. Notice whatever you notice. Feel whatever you feel. The vibrations are tingling. And then slowly make your way back to the floor. You could round down with the knees bent. Or you might just come down to hands and knees. And then swing your legs forward. Take a little windshield wiper of the knees. And then we'll come into a little bit of stretching. So right shin comes in front. Bring your left shin out to the side. And this is where you might want to use pillows. So the idea is that we're going to open up the back of the hips, again, so that in theory you could stay seated for a longer meditation without feeling a lot of physical discomfort. And you're going to twist the torso toward that front thigh. And then as you exhale, start to walk yourself forward. And you might stay up high. You might bring the floor up to you. You might choose instead to start to round forward. Maybe you have a pillow or 2 that you can bring underneath. And you could always turn your head to one side so that you're really relaxed here. And we're going to stay here for quite a bit longer than we normally would in an active yoga class. And the idea is that you start to get into the connective tissues a little bit. So it's a little bit more like a yin yoga pose. Allowing gravity to do its work on your body, but also allowing the heart rate to start to slow down. Allowing the breath to slow down. Last few breaths here. And slowly start to press yourself up on your inhale. And swing your left leg forward. Take a little excuse me, windshield wiper of your knees. And then we'll switch sides. So left shin comes forward, right shin goes out to the side. And then turn your upper body to that front thigh. And then start to fold over top of it. And it could be so different from one side to the other. Maybe you stay up higher, maybe you go down lower. If you were resting with one cheek down, make sure that you go the opposite direction on this side so that you can balance out the tension on your neck. And again, we'll stay here a little bit longer than we normally do to help release extra fascial tension. Last few breaths here. And then slowly bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Gently press yourself back up. Swing your right leg forward. And take a little rock from side to side. One last thing before we settle down for the meditation, if you wish, is a gentle twist. So lie down on your back and hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. You massage out the base of the spine and the pelvis if you wish by drawing circles here. And then take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit to start with, and as you exhale, lower your knees to the left. So it could be a deep stretch if you wish, but ideally more of a gentle, knees stacked variation. You could always bring a block in between your knees or underneath the bottom one if you would like a little bit more support, a little bit more ease here. You might look along the right arm to finish off the spiral in your neck. And then slowly on your inhale, return to center. Reset your spine, your pelvis, and then maybe shift your hips left. Left arm goes out to the side. Exhale the knees to the right. And get as gentle or as deep as you need. Allowing the body to settle. Allow the breath to settle. And last couple breaths here. And then inhale, slowly come back to center. Now if there's anything else you feel like your body might need before you sit down for your rest, for your meditation, you're welcome to do what you need to do. Otherwise, start to set yourself up. Sometimes I'll even set myself up so that I can have my back against the wall as I sit, just to give myself extra ease, extra comfort. You can always lie down for a meditation if you like to. Personally, I find that gets a bit sleepy and harder to stay focused. And then once you have found your position of either rest or for meditation, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath away. A couple more. And then let go of your breath control. Let go of any muscle gripping or tension. And imagine that you're walking toward a bridge. And once you get to the middle of the bridge, see what it looks like. Picture it in your mind's eye. What materials it's made out of. Whether it is shaded or in the sun. What sounds you hear. And perhaps you hear the sound of running water, and so you'll appear over the edge of the bridge and see the water underneath. Perhaps it is just a tiny trickle of water, or perhaps it is a roaring springtime melt river. And imagine that that flow of water is your thoughts. So they will be there, but you are separate from them. You are on the bridge. So any time that you feel the water or hear its noise, acknowledge it, but then return to your spot on the bridge. Aware, but connected with yourself rather than with the water. Stay here longer if you can, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.